So, Mystery Dungeon. Yeah, whilst everybody else is busy admiring the high quality animations of Sword and Shield, I happened to come across a game that I last played when I was maybe 9 years old. The game in question being Pokémon Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity, or PKMN MD GTI if you're a fucking spastic. Either way, title's a mouthful. Cut back to 2013 and you have little Travis, you know, just busy browsing the Nintendo Eshop's demo section, because I was poor. I am poor. I had a few demos downloaded, most memorably the unholy monstrosity that is the Resident Evil Revelations demo. Yeah, don't get me wrong, it does a perfect job as a demo, you know, it's very tense, gives you a bit of action, generally encourages you to purchase the game. However, none of this was important to 10-year-old me, who was scared shitless at the prospect of eternal suck. Yeah, that demo, I only ever brought myself— Why, Trump, what do you want now? What do you want? No, you're not climbing on my fucking monitor, Trump! I only ever brought myself to play it like 4 or 5 times, but it left its mark on my jocks. Another demo I had was this Japanese visual novel type game, where you and all of your friends are drugged and kidnapped by a psychotic bunny rabbit who has hooked up syringes to each of your wrists, and if you don't do as she says, you better prepare for your blood to turn to acid. I always loved the notion, I suppose, that the 3DS is a children's console, because, like, when I think of the most fucked up games that I've ever played, it's like, I always think of the 3DS, or even just Nintendo consoles in general, because this applies to the Wii too, I suppose. You know the Wii had Manhunt 2. And like Mad World.
Wait a minute, nobody said there'd be math!
But like going back to Manhunt, right, because I'm quite familiar with it. Manhunt 2 is like one of the most bloody, violent, and sexually depraved games to ever hit fucking store shelves. That's if you're in a country where it actually hits store shelves. It was on the Wii. Uncensored too if you had a cheat device. Tangent aside, the third demo I had was for the upcoming Pokémon Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity. And while I wasn't the hugest Pokémon fan at the time, I still really loved the series. Like, you know, to this day, I've still got very fond memories of playing Pokémon Black on DS. Like, I put over a fucking 100 hours in Pokémon Black, I don't know how. Or I also used to watch YouTube channels like a Brandon to the Past, or the J-Wits, or fucking MatPat, you know? Or fuck, even more generally, just waking up early in the morning, because I'd used to watch the Pokemon anime before I went to school. Does anybody here remember the Pop or Kicks TV stations, or fucking Pop Girl? Like the Freeview ones that all poor kids watched. They were the best. Anyway, this demo, it really had me hooked, you know? Think of it like a dodgy heroin dealer, you know? They gave me like a whole hour or so of the game for free, and on top of that, you got to keep your save if you bought the whole game. So, for about 3 weeks, I bothered the shit out of my poor mother, who eventually got it for me. I'm sorry, ma. But unlike heroin, this game was actually cool and fun. So, don't do drugs, kids. Or, as I should say with COPPA coming in, don't do drugs, people of legal age, to purchase cigarettes and alcohol. The demo for Gates to Infinity, as much as it is kind of a blur in my mind, it must have done something fucking special for a 9-year-old me to want it so much, you know? To be fair to both myself, you know, my nostalgia, and you, I was a sucker for cute things, and fucking hell, by God, did this game deliver. Like, look at him. You want to pet him. You want to fucking pet him. You know, the game, it was a real balance of cute but chilled out too, you know what I mean? It was kind of like Animal Crossing in that sense, I suppose. You know, it wasn't like a tense RPG where you had to pay close attention to story or the characters, the fighting, gameplay mechanics. Nah, man, it was just something you could play it before you went to bed, you know what I mean? It's similar to Animal Crossing, I suppose, in the sense you don't need to do too much to actually enjoy it, you know? Fuck, if you really want, you can just zone out of the game and into the fucking soundtrack. Like, the music in this, oh, this game has a 5-hour long soundtrack. Like, I was so surprised by that. A fucking DS cartridge with 5 hours of music on it. But there's like a lot of, you know, really soft hitting and upbeat tracks. And a lot of really atmospheric tracks too, you know? It's funny in a weird way when you take into consideration that this game is literally about wild animals, you know, fighting each other to death in hostile territories. For real. Like, you know, no Nurse Joy is going 18 floors deep into some cave in the middle of bumfuck nowhere to rescue a Swoobat. He's dead. He's fucking dead. And the funeral is never gonna happen. He wasn't cared for. He was feral. He was the runt in a litter of 20 at that. He was expendable. Brought into this world as nothing and died as nothing. And he laid there in agony, squealing as his at best dull life flashed by his mind. You know, his only happy memories of his mother, his poor mother. He misses her. He misses her a lot. And all he can do is lay there in agony and hopelessly call for her. And the only one who ever cared for him. And she's dead. She's been dead years, and he knows this. But he has nobody else to call for. And his final moments are spent in excruciating pain until...
Back in the 90s, I was in a very famous TV show. I'm BoJack the Horseman, don't act like you.
Putting that aside though, it never fails to be one of the coziest and most heartwarming games I've played. And while I suppose I'm beyond biased and blinded by nostalgia, I totally recommend you give it a shot. It's kind of been my time waster game recently, you know, I've been playing a bit of it, and I suppose it still holds up. My biggest complaint, really, is that it's quite easy, you know what I mean? It really is an easy game. Like, it's not something you would really want to get into an active gaming session with. It's not that sort of game. Other than that, yeah, totally recommend you play it. I feel bad for all of you original Mystery Dungeon fans who came over here thinking, you know, I was gonna make some really cool video essay about the original Mystery Dungeon games. I feel bad for you, I'm sorry. Maybe another time. Because this is like the worst game in the series apparently, but I'm very, like, I have such fond memories of it, so I don't care. I have nothing to compare it to either. I've never played any other Mystery Dungeons.